All right, so there's a lot to unpack with what happened yesterday at the polls, so let's go through it all with our two guests tonight here on the Final Five. On the left, Ashwani Jain, former Democratic candidate in Maryland's 6th Congressional District, also worked in the Obama administration. On the right, former FERC chair Neil Chatterjee, who worked during the Trump administration. The first one, we can say at this point. Good to see you both tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Both return guests to the show. I want to start with you, Neil. We had you in here a couple weeks ago. Obviously, a lot of unknowns at that point. Those are all out of the way now. We know who's going to be at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue on January 20th. What led to this victory, in your estimation?
Look, as we've discussed in past appearances, Donald Trump has turned the Republican Party into more of a working-class populist party. And you saw he broadened his appeal across the electorate. I think in every single county in the country, he outperformed what he did in 2020. And it's a real indication of the sort of shifting dynamics of our political coalitions. And I think the Democrats thought that they would wage a campaign against him on personality, on democracy, on January 6th, on, they calling him a fascist. And what he did that was really smart was he went outside of traditional media and he did all these long-form podcasts where people got to see his personality and they're like, this guy's kind of funny. He's humorous. He's like, he's personable. This doesn't strike me as a kind of guy who's going to be a fascist and end democracy. And so I just think that that line of persuasion against him didn't work, coupled with the fact that people are really hurting right now and are worried about inflation and are worried about the economy and are worried about the border. And he put together a pretty substantial coalition to win. So
there was a lot of people who poo-pooed the idea of that the economic things would sort themselves out, that maybe, yes, people might be hurting with inflation, they might be paying more in groceries, but trust us, the stock market's never done better, unemployment has never been lower, and those are facts. Sometimes it's about messaging. What do you think for the Harris campaign? Where did it go off the rails?
Yeah, well, first, thanks for having me back. And I'll be honest, I'm heartbroken, I'm sad, I'm frustrated, I'm angry. It's been a really tough time. But I'll do something that my Republican friends have not learned how to do, which is admit defeat and concede. That said, it hurts, but it's not surprising. Look, I have spent time working for President Obama on both his campaigns and his White House and his administration. I've ran for office myself within the Democratic Party, running in 2022 as the youngest person to run for Maryland governor, and then earlier this year running for Congress. And I'm going to say something that some folks on my side may not like to hear, but it's the truth. If we only blame the other side for what happened last night, then we are doomed to repeat the same mistakes again. What we need is, and I'll agree with you on this point, we need a major reckoning within the Democratic Party and the Democratic voter. Because we knew on our side that the Trump folks are going to vote for him. We know that they support him. We know that they're okay with the things that he has said and done and been on trial for. But what we need to focus on is how do we refocus and build up a better bench and not just focus on status quo candidates from the start up and not just at president level, but all the way down to school board. So we need to refocus and re-energize the base in a much more sustainable way if we're going to make sure we make some progress in the future.
And that's something Republicans have been successful with, and we saw that play out like in Loudoun County a couple of years ago when there were lots of controversy in the schools, where there were efforts to get more people to run for school board positions. And this is something that in the Obama years they did not do very well, which was bolster the state parties. A lot of the state legislatures flipped during the Obama years, going into 2012 as well. So as we kind of move ahead, there's a lot that can happen between now and January 20th. We saw that certainly play out last time. Vice President Harris did concede today. It looks like former president, at this point, all the nomenclature. I'm used to saying the other thing. President-elect Trump will meet with President Biden at the White House at some point. Do we think maybe this is the signal that there might be some détente between the two sides here?
Yeah, look, I'm of the mind, and I've seen this, I've been in this town for about 2 decades now, and I've seen this a couple of times. In 2004, the political left despised George W. Bush. But then he got reelected in 2004, and the temperature kind of went down a little bit. In 2012, the political right despised Barack Obama. But then he got reelected, and the temperature went down a little bit. I think elections have a way of just hypercharging emotions, right? And I think now that the election is over, then I think there's a chance to kind of recenter. And President Trump said it. President-elect Trump said it in his remarks last night that he wants to bring the country together. He wants to be a unifier. And I actually think like he has an opportunity to do it. And for me, and I'm going rogue here, but I'll say this, he ought to announce ASAP that he's going to pardon Hunter. If he pardons Hunter, I think that's the kind of classy, unifying gesture that will actually help with a smooth transition and bring the country together.
I want to keep talking about this. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back because there's a lot more to get to here on the Final Five. So stick around. We're back after this.